So I've been working in machine learning for about 25 years or so. And the field has always been academically extremely attractive, extremely interesting. But what we've seen in the last few years is that suddenly all these methods are getting used in practice, and there's a huge excitement, and all the society knows about machine learning and is fascinated by it. So Africa, so we talk a lot about this problem in Europe also. We talk about whether Europe is keeping up with the developments in China and North America, and obviously there are huge investments in North America and China. And Europe doesn't invest on the same scale, and Africa also doesn't invest on the same scale. Having said that, there's a huge potential. There's a lot of smart students people are getting interested in, so I think it's a situation of catching up, but it's certainly possible to play in the top league. So one field where we are seeing significant contributions and where I expect huge contributions in the future is in medicine, because effectively currently medicine is a science that's based on experience, and currently your doctor may have seen a few hundred or a few thousand patients with similar disease to yours and base his or her decisions on these experiences. But imagine if we could agglomerate the knowledge or merge the knowledge of thousands or maybe even millions of doctors together. How many patients you would then have access to. So I'm hoping that in the end we'll have much more rational medical decision making, more rational diagnosis, more rational treatment recommendations. And this is beginning to happen, and I think it's going to increase, and it will also to some extent democratize medicine, because people all across the world will have access to knowledge from doctors all across the world. I expect that machines will replace humans in some places. I think we've seen the same in previous revolutions. We've seen the same in industrial revolutions where human labor was replaced. The first two industrial revolutions were about industrializing the processing of energy, and what we're seeing now is the industrialization of processing information. So we will lose certain jobs that currently are still being done by humans. Other new jobs will come. And the interesting question, of course, for every country is, are we only going to lose jobs, or will we also get some of the new jobs? Because there's no automatism that makes sure the new jobs are in the same place. And I think that's why it's important for every country to think about these developments and invest in these directions. So I think it would be dishonest to claim that no jobs will be lost, but at the same time, I think many new jobs will come. So I think it's important to expose your work to the scrutiny of the community, to submit your work to the top conferences. It's important to read the top papers, stay on top of things. Nowadays, it's much easier to do this than it used to be, because there are many resources in the internet, there are online tutorials, there's courses, there's lots of videos of previous machine learning summer schools. Now there's a machine learning summer school taking place in South Africa. So I think for students nowadays, it's easier to get access to the international community. But at the same time, many of these things require a certain background. So I always recommend to the students that they should get a serious training in mathematics and computer science. And that will be a good basis for fields like machine learning. One of the very biggest problems currently is global warming and climate change. And we don't see directly, but I think machine learning should be able to play a role in this, because in the end it's a highly complex system, the global climate. We don't understand it in detail, and I view machine learning as a method to deal with complex systems that we cannot always model explicitly, but systems where we have observations and data, and where we can try to learn policies, how to change certain variables in order to achieve certain effects. So I think ultimately machine learning can play a role in this as well. So that's not the only problem. We also have other problems. We have, I think we have political problems in many countries. We have maybe more radical opinions coming up. People are using the means of the internet to form more radical opinions. And I think this is also a field where machine learning can play a positive and a negative role. And I think that's why we have to research these issues and find ways to deal with them.